interesting. This book that we are reading today is How to Be a Stoic. You know, it's talking about so many things in this book, from writers like Enchiridion, from writers like Seneca, from writers like Marcus Aurelius, and, you know, so many people throughout history were writing about philosophies that aren't easily digested, aren't easily adopted through someone who hasn't opted to open their mind like a parachute. They say it doesn't do you any good closed, right? So we keep it open. Like this book, as we were taking a look. I took a look inside this book today and I highlighted a few passages in here. And one of them I want to read to you because it gave me pause. You ever read something and sometimes you read something and you have a reflection, you have a realization, and you hear almost like a euphoria, like eureka. There's a round of applause, right? Like, of course. You're in awe. But then you read something else and there's a pause. It might sound odd. It might strike you. It might come out to lash out and bite you, right? Or it might even excite you. It might even ignite you to read something that you never could have imagined before, to see that, oh wow, there's much more in store. There's much more that I can actually explore in this thing we call consciousness. So that was one of the things that I read today in How to Be a Stoic, these meditations from Marcus Aurelius. And here's the passage. It basically says, we should consider, though, not only the multitude of bodies thus buried, but also the number of animals eaten every day by us and other creatures. It says a huge quantity consumed and in a sense buried in the bodies of those who feed on them, because they are reduced to blood and changed into the elements of air and fire. Now this is interesting because when it talks about the things that we feed on, how they are reduced to the blood, it brought back a flood of memories for me, because when I was at this monastery with these monks and nuns from Myanmar, you know, these Burmese monks and nuns took me in, taught me about why we suffer, taught me about meditation, taught me about different methods and modes of relaxation, different modalities and totalities of changing my mentality to change my reality. One of the monks said, you know, when you eat animals, when you eat animal flesh, you know that their blood mixes with your blood, right? You know that. I was like, what? I was like, huh? He was like, yeah. Their blood mixes with your blood. You know that, right? I was like, what? It didn't dawn on me. It was like it never dawned on me that this being's blood would mix with my blood. Do you ever hear something that just gives you pause? You're like, wait a minute. That sounds odd. Why would I want this being's blood to mix with my blood? They talk about when we ingest something and the body has to digest something, it literally has to break it all the way down to a liquid. It has to become you. Your body has to somehow assimilate this information, and through the process of digestion has to make it you, right? But it's like it wasn't you, but now it has to be you somehow. So the body has to, okay, what do I do with this? Okay, I have to break it down and do all these things to it. But now it's assimilated in the body. Now it's integrated in the body. Now it's infiltrated the body. And when the monk told me, he said, yeah, when you eat animal flesh, when you eat meat, you're already whole, you're already complete, but now you have eaten this thing that has to mix with you. What do? Right? What has to go through? And the things that have to go through you have to make a way for you to continue with all of these obstructions that now lie within you, right? It gave me pause because it wasn't until I saw that documentary, Earthlings, that taught me about all the ways that we use animals in our lives, for entertainment, for outfits, clothing, for consumption, for scientific experiments, and for pets, right? And I felt like a scavenger. I felt like a vulture going to the grocery store, seeing all these dead bodies. All these dead bodies. Rows and rows of dead bodies. Before they weren't dead bodies. Before they were just rotisserie chicken over there, ground beef over here, right? Lasagna over. It wasn't dead bodies before. Now I was like, okay, I'm intentionally putting another being in my body and its blood is mixing with my blood. Why would I do this? I never knew this. One of my friends, he told me something. I thought it was genius. He said, hey, Jerome, what if no one is lactose intolerant? I said, what are you talking about? He said, what if no one is lactose intolerant? What if we're just not baby cows? I said, hold on now. Wait a minute. What are you saying? He said, what if we're just not baby cows? What if we're not designed to be drinking the fluids from another species? And I remember my uncle telling me something, and even he had to admit to himself, he said, Jerome, we grow more food to feed the animals that we eat than we grow to feed ourselves. Did you know that? I said, wow. Wow. We grow more to feed them, and then we eat them than we could grow to even feed ourselves. I said, that makes no sense. Like when you put it on paper, when you say it out loud, it sounds logical, right? Or irrational. It doesn't sound like, but this is what we do. This is what I did for years. So it's no wonder why all of these fears start to appear when you're mixing your blood with an animal's blood year after year after year. But this gentleman, this philosopher of a modern age, a modern sage, his name is Marcus Aurelius, and he was thinking about this, writing this down in a book we call Meditations, which was really just his journal, right? His imagination. He wrote this down not thinking that anyone would read it. It was his personal journey, like not thinking anyone would need it. But now we are able to read and we are able to feed from this information, to let go of the constant inflammation and constipation that we see rampant among the nation. I ask you, just like I asked myself, what would you do or not do for a better feeling of health? What would you start to invest? What would you stop to digest? And how would it compound for you to earn interest? To feel at your best, to feel that you're blessed, without saying, for me to live, this being must die. To rediscover how, and more importantly, why. These are the questions. These are the lessons, and these are the expressions from people we see. I trust that you got a kind word, and I trust that you know If you open your mind, you're already free. Much love, my friend. Much love once again. And we'll see you next time. For it is never the end.